Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, hooligan shills, desolators, peasants, vassals, students who are shills. I'm a useful idiot. Today I want to talk about kind of a disgusting, disturbing program. The Israeli government is planning to provide scholarships to hundreds of students at 7 universities in exchange for their making pro-Israel Facebook posts and tweets to foreign audiences. And the students are specifically required not to reveal online that they are funded by the Israeli government. And this is not just a rumor. Prime Minister Netanyahu's office, which will oversee the program, confirmed its launch and wrote that its aim was to, quote, strengthen Israeli public diplomacy and make it fit the changes in the means of information consumption, unquote, whatever the hell that means. And then Daniel Seaman, who's actually the one who planned this program, wrote in an August 5th letter, quote, the idea requires not making the role of the state stand out, and therefore it is necessary to adhere to great involvement of the students themselves without political linkage or affiliation. So in other words, they want to make sure that these students are motivated and operate on their own. And I think this will be easily achieved when you look at the hierarchy system that they've developed. Students will be organized into units with a chief coordinator who gets a full scholarship, 3 desk coordinators for language, graphics, and research who will receive partial scholarships, and then a whole gaggle of so-called activists who will receive minimal scholarships. So in other words, as usual, they're only going to need to have one totally professional shill bootlicker as their chief coordinator. He could even be a military intelligence officer or a Mossad agent or even an Israeli soldier. So he will run the program, and then they'll have people that will deal with language, graphics, and research. So this is quite an extensive program that they have here. And then, of course, there'll be all the drones, the so-called activists. So this is kind of a bizarre and disgusting program, like I say. They say that the main topics that they will be addressing are political and security issues, combating calls to boycott Israel, and combating any question of Israel's legitimacy. So here we find those same themes over and over again. They don't want anyone to be critical of their invasions, their bombings, how they control their security issues, how they deal with their political issues, and then calls like the recent European decision to boycott certain products from Israel. And then, of course, they are adamant about anyone questioning Israel's right to exist. That is always their main focus. But you'd think that they have enough Israel has enough organizations already to take care of this. Everyone should be familiar with the Anti-Defamation League, and of course their American lobby, AIPAC, who both those organizations go to great lengths to make sure that public perception of Israel is just as good as it can be. And so I find the redundancy a bit odd, but of course Israeli public opinion about Israel around the world has been taking quite a beating, and they're quite concerned about that. So they're going to have Israeli youth reach out and try to form public opinion, especially among the youth around the globe. And they want these paid propaganda shills at Israeli universities to stress democratic values, freedom of religion, and pluralism. It's kind of ironic because the reality in Israel is that democratic values are relative. There's a great deal of racism, and freedom of religion, although allowed, is certainly an antagonistic relationship in Israel, as Christians and Muslims are both persecuted by Jews. And then, of course, we have the difference between the Zionists and the Hasidic Jews, who have very opposing ideas about Judaism and also foreign and domestic policy in the region. But I think this brings up a lot of interesting things that I don't want to specifically pick on Israel, although this is a very disgusting example, a very crass, cynical example. It's the same kind of things that states do all over the world, although Israel seems to be in overdrive trying to protect their reputation. As we've seen from all kinds of government documents coming out from the United States, Britain, Australia, Europe, the Eurozone, and all over the world, finding that governments seem to be really concerned about how people view them and what their reputation is. And they certainly don't like having their dirty laundry aired. But we always have this secrecy. Like, for example, in this program with Israel, very adamant the students are required not to reveal online that they are funded by the Israeli government. So that sneaky aspect of it is kind of disgusting too. And the fact that we have these shill programs. So just like the United States government and also corporations have shills and all kinds of different personas interacting with people out in social networks, social media, and even here on YouTube. There's all kinds of propagandists all over the place trying to perpetrate a government, state-run worldview, and certainly that's nothing new. And we have this government-corporate partnership again, and just like the United States, we have this questionable relationship between the government, the corporations, and what are ostensibly public schools. And as one Israeli pundit pointed out, he even found this program disgusting, that going to school should be teaching students to be free thinkers, not as propaganda apparatus. And then last but least, of course, one of my favorite topics about governments, and particularly the Israeli government in this situation, and certainly the Obama administration, as well as the Bush administration before that, is notice that they never actually really change the policy. They just hire a new public relations firm. That's how it is. You don't change the policy. You just hire a new PR firm and rebrand it. Kind of the same way that all the surveillance programs, they proudly talk about canceling one, only to find it be renamed and reconfigured year after year after year, decade after decade. But another part of the story, too, that is about Israel as a state, as well as the United States as a state, and pretty much most states, this level of government paranoia that we have now, where they feel the need to micromanage everything, including every single aspect of public opinion. It's just another part of this strange post-1984 world we live in. So once again, here we have the Israeli government handing out scholarships to hundreds of students to act as propaganda bullhorns for Israeli policy in media, internet, social media around the world. So once again, welcome to the 21st century. I'm a useful idiot. Don't you be one too.